Mathematical mindfulness. Now, before I see all those cringing faces, give me a moment. You're probably thinking, what does mindfulness and mathematics have to do with each other? Why are they even in the same sentence? Well, first of all, for those of you who are students, listen to this to improve your grades. For those of you who are adults, listen to this because this will help you solve your problems. And let's face it, everybody has problems. So let's embark on a journey of discovering what mathematical mindfulness is together. Mindfulness is being in the present moment, focusing on being intensely aware and fully engaged. Mathematical mindfulness is something we're going to take a look at the end of this talk. It was once the case that you needed to know how to perform simple arithmetic calculations, simple mathematical calculations, to live your day-to-day lives. However, now, with the increase and improved technology, you're able to have calculators just at the click of a button on your phones. The majority of the world has access to smartphones. In fact, talking about phones, have you noticed the development of phones over the last 100 years? It's absolutely phenomenal. We've gone from phones attached on a cord to mini computers at our fingertips. Yet, looking at classrooms over the last 100 years, learning and teaching hasn't much changed. And make sure you focus on the fact that I said learning and teaching. Okay, we've gone from blackboards to interactive whiteboards. However, it is still common to see a teacher at the front with students either in desks or rows, and the teacher within a mathematics lesson will normally give an example, and then the students, they go away and they do some exercises. And they love it. They love getting the answers right. Yeah, there might be some problem-solving questions in there. However, over my years of teaching, I've noticed students are focused on solutions. They want to do a question, great, tick, move on. Miss, next question, great, tick, move on. That's all they're focusing on. When in actual fact, we should be focusing on something else. So let's take a look at an example. 11 times 23. I'll just give you a moment to work it out. I didn't choose a hard maths question for you. Okay, so I could see some of you actually used your smartphones. Some of you even used your smartwatches. Some of you sat there and thought intently, which is fantastic. The answer is 253. Give yourself a tap on the shoulder if you got it right. Would it surprise you to know that I could actually spend a whole hour on this question? I could teach this for a whole hour. We could discover with the students. We could look at all the different ways, starting with 11 times 23 and ending with 253. Some of you, who are a little bit older, might remember long multiplication. Some of the younger generation, in primary school, you might have seen the box method. Okay, so a lot of people would probably start with this if they were writing it down on paper, trying to work it out. Some people, if they do it in their head, they like to split it up. 11 times 23. Well, 11 is the same as 10 plus 1. 10 lots of 23 plus 1 lot of 23. Again, another beautiful method. The Japanese, they've started using visual representations, using the lines. And where they intersect is what would give you the answer. My personal favorite is a trick my dad taught me. He said to me, right, Charlotte, this only works for the 11 times table, okay? So you get your two numbers, 2 and 3. You add them together, and what do you get? 5. You just squeeze it in there. So 11 times 23, 2 plus 3 is 5, 253. 11 times 42. Well, what's 4 plus 2? 6. So squeeze it in, 4, 6, 2. And this will work for anything multiplied by 11 unless the two numbers add to more than 9. However, I'm not going to tell you why, because it took me a while to figure that out. It was only when I started teaching that I actually took the time to figure out, wait a minute, why does this trick work, and what are its limitations? All the beautiful ways that we've just discussed then, and there are many, many more. Building these connections is important. We should be focusing on the different methods to get to the answer. We should be focusing on which one is the most efficient and why. Why does the Japanese method with the lines work? Does anyone know? Instead of just focusing on getting the answer, 253, great, tick, move on. This is going to sound so cheesy. You guys have seen this in the shop. It's probably in some of your bathrooms. You know that quote, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. That is exactly what you can apply when you are trying to solve a problem or a mathematical equation. It is about the journey, looking at the different methods. However, I know a lot of people are hesitant sometimes within mathematics. They don't like it. I know it's not easy for some of you, and that's okay. Because within mathematics, you build skills that you're going to need in your lives. The world is changing vastly with AI, automated stuff that's happening on computers. People are going to be out of jobs. However, something that AI isn't going to be capable of doing is problem solving, critical thinking. Maybe in a few years' time, but right now, it's great for admin tasks. So when you're stuck in a problem and you want to get unstuck, you need to remember a few things. You need to remember that you need to have some willingness to learn, some willingness to think differently, a willingness to make mistakes, and a willingness to be mindful about mathematics. You have to be able to communicate with mathematical literacy, and that is an individual's capacity to reason mathematically. Now, you're probably sat here like, oh, what does that even look like? So I'm going to take you to an example that happened within my classroom. I am not expecting you to read this question. However, it's just so you can visually see that this question, a GCSE-style question, was given to my students. And there's no pictures, there's no diagrams, it's quite wordy. Within the mark scheme, there are actually 3 different methods you could use to solve this problem. So it's a fantastic question to get those brains moving. So I said to the students, okay, we need to focus on being mindful about mathematics, and also we need to focus on our mathematical literacy. We need to be able to reason. To enhance that experience for them, I made sure that the students wrote their questions on a sticky note so that they could refer to it. They know what they're asking me, I'm going to answer literally. So, here are one of the questions. Now remember, I am answering their question literally. And if you read this question, it actually says, can you please explain this cue? Now, really think about this question. They're asking me to explain a letter. This letter is Q. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Q. What is it? It's the 17th letter in the alphabet. And that's what I responded. My student was like, what? No, miss, that's not what I meant. Like, explain this Q? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. It's also lowercase. They're like, no. And I'm like, you haven't reasoned with me mathematically what you know, what you don't know, what you need. So I said, go away, give it your best shot, come back in a minute. In the meantime, another student came to me, and I know where this question came from, and I love it. I did start laughing, because I always say to my students, you saw how wordy that question was. There was no diagrams, no visuals, it wasn't very nice. And I would say, when in doubt, draw it out. So I knew exactly where this was coming. They said, miss, how do you do a drawing? Which is great, because they want to see the problem visually. So, again, I was a little bit sarcastic. I said, just get your pen, write it on paper, you'll be fine. They're like, no, miss, that's not what I meant. I said, I know that's not what you meant. This is what you've asked. So we took a pause. We discussed about the different connections being made in mathematics. A lot of the students, miss, I really don't know what to do. Okay, well, tell me what you can do, and then tell me what you need in order to get the next step. We don't have to get to the solution in one step. This is a fantastic diagram, a network. And those big circles, they're called nodes. And this is actually a representation of all the skills needed to access mathematics at a secondary level. The two biggest nodes, those two big red dots, is actually multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. It's fantastic because that means that this is the basis of everything. Everyone in this room can add, take away, multiply, divide, and that is what you need for a lot of problems. That is what you need for a lot of mathematics. You can see the connections. This network was created by William Emeny, and I think it's a fantastic visual representation. The different colors are the different strands of mathematics. So you have number, algebra, geometry, probability, statistics. So we had a lovely discussion, and then the magic happened. And this, honestly, brought joy to my heart. This was the type of question I was getting. Miss, how do you find the length of a line using coordinates? Wow. Now, for some of you, you might not understand how incredible this is, but I am telling you now, what they have shown me is they know they need to find the length of a line. They've also shown me that they know they have coordinates. I reminded them of Pythagoras and how actually just because we're not given the lengths and we're given coordinates, we could still work out the lengths and then use Pythagoras. Phenomenal breakthrough. I was so proud. Another question like this came in. Miss, now this one was great. I didn't expect anyone to go for this method either. And this is a very strange method because it's quite hard to visualize, but it just shows what an amazing critical thinker and problem solver this student is. How do you move 3 halves along a line? How do you do that? Well, what's quite interesting is you could do that using ratios or vector methods. This was incredible. This was what being mindful about mathematics and focusing on the methods rather than the solutions gave the students. They are making connections. They are understanding that mathematics is a journey of joy. Let's face it, it's also a journey of frustration. We've all been there. However, it is a journey to beautiful links that open in your mind so that you can become a better problem solver and a better critical thinker. I want you to remember that sometimes you can get to a solution, and you know what they say, don't fix something that's not broken. However, different methods allow for different thinking. They allow you to see what's efficient, what isn't, and it opens your brain. If you're a parent or a teacher, and someone comes to you and they've solved a question, say to them, can you do it a different way? Get them to go away and think. Get them to start making those connections. I want you to be mindful. To be mindful that when you're doing repetitive exercise, it's not just about keep going with the exercises, doing a process. Why are you doing this? For what purpose? And remember that the journey is more important than the destination. So, what is mathematical mindfulness? It is an awareness of what you know, and what you know, you don't know, in order to progress.